For the job preparation side, on the technical side, do you have your bases covered?
Basis as in
Like your technical
questions.
skills, Excel, SQL, Power BI.
Yes, to some extent. It's been long actually, but I'll surely revise on that before going for the new.
Okay, okay. But on the on the answering questions, like when you're asked questions in those aspects, you're able to you can be able to or you will be able to respond adequately now.
Yeah, the thing is, the last interview I had was
Okay.
basically like some months ago,
Okay.
and I think where I had issues were like the questions I was being asked.
Okay.
I did not really get the interview. Like they were asking question about their. It was an energy company, so they
Okay.
were asking question regarding the company, how like my skill is going to help them. They were
Sure.
relating it to data science, data analysis, economics, and their company. So
Sure.
I got, I don't know, I think I did not get the question right, and more so, I was not able to like go with the interviewer. I
Okay.
was,
So your
and
your issue mainly is not about maybe landing the interview, it's about what happens during the interview.
yes, basically, yeah.
Okay. But this scenario you gave now is I feel like it's something that everybody should kind of be prepared for because
Right.
because when you are like going for any interview, you're supposed to research the
You don't
company.
finish at work.
Yeah,
Now,
sorry, give me a minute.
Now why are they
all right,
calling?
Okay, please go on.
yeah. So I said when you're going for any interview, you're supposed to um research
Yeah,
the
I did.
company.
Yeah,
Yes, she
I
Your
said
did some
she doesn't
research on
have
it,
money
and basically
to this and that. Okay.
the I could not
What
find a
the
whole lot.
30
The
you
thing
could not
I
find
actually
much on the
found,
company, right?
16 app awards.
So
yes,
I'll just
And the
give
yes.
boys
you
are
a
around
couple of
4,000.
ways you can go about it. Number one is through LinkedIn.
Okay.
Is that
If
workers
the
around
company
4,000?
exists on LinkedIn, all you have to do is just go to the company and look
She
for
just,
people.
when she was
So you will
all
see a
that,
couple of
give me
persons
a
that
figure.
work there,
Let me
and
know
you
what
can
it
ask them,
represents.
just
Like
enter
it's
their
around
DMs on
4,000.
LinkedIn and
So
ask them
4,000 times 60.
questions.
That's
They will
240.
tell you
Okay.
things that the
Okay, and
ordinary or the average
4,000 and
outsider will not know
4,000.
about the
That is
company.
240K.
That's one. Now on
That she
the
doesn't have money.
technical side,
And she
or
doesn't
in
know
terms
where
of
to
like
tell you.
following up
And
with
even if you want to, if you
um
want to negotiate, you want to negotiate in the sense that it will be good for you too. And
in terms of following up with the interviewer as regards their um how do you put it now, as regards what value that your skill will bring to their organization, it still ties back to the first one, researching the company. And if possible, it's possible that you would also see people who are working in the role that you're applying for, number one, or are in that department or in that team or part of that group. So it's not essential that it has to be somebody in your department essentially, but it could be somebody in that group, that team. It could just be anybody within the company that will give you basically insights that you probably won't find if you search the company on Google or try to do a bit of research on them. So LinkedIn is your probably your number one friend. Once you go to the page on LinkedIn, you go to people, then you see the people working there. You can DM 5, 10, 15, 20 of them and see which of them would respond, and you ask your question, or just go straight to the point and ask your question. Just tell them, "Hi, my name is blah 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 blah. I am applying to, or I have applied to your company for the position of blah blah blah, and I would need to ask you a few questions, or just list the questions or the things you want to ask them, or gain their knowledge on some certain aspects of the company." and how the work environment or the work ethic is. A lot, some people will just reply with generic sentences like, "Oh, it's fine," or blah blah blah. But you will get a couple of persons who would be like, "Oh, nice of you to apply to join us," blah blah. Is there anything in particular you'd love to know? And they would kind of walk you through. They can even schedule a meeting or exchange contacts with your email, and you guys can. They would schedule a walkthrough where they kind of take you through how the company kind of functions and all of the other things. So that's one way to connect via LinkedIn. You apply to a role and you kind of take that role and go on LinkedIn, look for people who work there, and so I feel like that's like the most common one in terms of research. On if you can't find much on Google or while you're googling the company. Now that's as regards um the company's questions. How do you know the company? What do you know about the company? How do your skill set translate to blah blah blah? Now, for that question of how your skill set is going to bring value to the company, there's a couple of things you can do. Now, once you've researched the company, you now have a baseline of deliverables or things that or value that your skills can provide. Now, the instead of waiting for the interviewer or questions to come in, right? You just prepare for the interview ahead of time. So how do you do that? You already have like a you've done your research, you've asked the questions you want to ask, you now know enough about the company. What you now need to do is go to any AI tool, right, and tell it to give you a sample data set for this particular company. Just carry or take up their link on LinkedIn and paste the link on um in that AI tool. Now, you tell it to generate a sample data set for this role for this company. Now, it will generate that sample data set for you. Once it has done that, you will tell it to build whatever it is that role requires. So you've researched the role, you've researched the company, you just tell it to do whatever that role requires, and it's going to build a template that is responsive depending on the AI tool you use. Something like Claude can get that done in a couple of hours and you'll be ready to go. Then once you're doing your interview, you can just be like, "Oh, I," that would even give you some kind of great standing with them when they discover that, oh, you've already taken the initiative to kind of research about the company. You already have something to present to us in the interview, something that works for the company. So what you just that's another way. Once you get your just hold on, there's someone trying to join. Once you research the company. Good evening, Nicholas. Thank you for joining in. Hello, Nicholas. All right, Nicholas. Thank you for joining in. Um, like I was saying, Jamu, once you've researched the company, you now know what they want. You now know the value that your skill sets can bring to them or bring for them, right? You just give it that prompt I just gave you now to any AI, to preferably Claude, and tell it to generate a sample data set for this company using their brand style guide. Like use it should make it for that company. And you could have a couple of projects that you have in mind for that particular company. It could be a dashboard, it could be a sales dashboard, it could be marketing, it could be energy tracking, it could be HR management, it could be operations. Now, once it generates that sample data set, you go through it to review it, and it builds up that project for you. So at the interview stage, once you get to that interview stage and you're being asked, "Oh, how would your skill set align with what we're trying to do in this company?" All you have to do is s- say a couple of things about the research you've done. Sorry, hold on. Say a couple of things about the research you've done. Thank you, Mark, for joining. Good evening, Mark. You say a couple of things about the research you've done for the company, then you now present that project. So I'll run through from the beginning again. You have an interview with a company, or you're able to get an interview with a company for a role. Now, instead of waiting to the interview date to get asked, what do you think you can provide as value for us as a company? A couple of ways you can go about it is number one, you start your research about any company you get an interview with. If Google doesn't give you much, because some companies don't have that much presence on Google space and they'll just kind of try to garner information. One of the best places you can find most companies is on LinkedIn. Once you go on LinkedIn, just search that company's name and go search the people that work on that companies. Under LinkedIn, you will see, once you see a company's page, you will see a section called people. Now, once you go to that people section, you will see a couple of persons who work in that company you want or you've applied to and you have an interview with. Now, typically, when you get your interview message, it will probably be a day or 2 days you would have to prepare, sometimes less than that. So you don't have time to basically go and start building projects for that company from scratch. All you have to do is now, once you done your research or reached out to people within the company, ask them key questions about the company that the ordinary or the average outsider wouldn't know. Now you have some key insights about the company. Now you know what your skill sets as a data analyst or as a data scientist or as a data engineer would provide to that company. Now what you do is you take your skill sets and you take the company, you can take their LinkedIn page or their LinkedIn address, right? And you give it to an AI tool, preferably Claude, because Claude does a lot of deep work. It can stay on its own, refine itself, refine its responses by itself, and say, I want you to build a, let's say you applied for a sales analyst position, or you applied for a data analyst position, or a marketing analyst, or an operations analyst, or a business analyst. I want you to build a sales analyst dashboard or sales analytics dashboard for this company. You give it the company name, blah blah blah. You can also attach the company's LinkedIn page address, right? So that you can go there, so that you can, or if he has a website, if the company has a website, you can attach their website. So he goes to the website, uses the company's colors to build up whatever it is designing. Now, just tell it to create a sample data set and build a dashboard or a project or portfolio project tied around that company or that region or that department that you've applied to. Now, in a couple of hours, you need to make a couple of tweaks to your prompting and to the responses you're getting back to make sure that everything aligns. Keywords you can use: make an interactive dashboard for a sales marketing, blah blah blah, for this company, so 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 name, with websites attached, blah 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 blah. Make it detailed, make it interactive, use company brand style guide by checking the website, you put the website link and all that. Now you're going to refine that response a couple of times, but in a couple of hours or in less than an hour, you will get a fully responsive and an interactive project that you can present on your interview. So when the interviewer is asking, hey, John, or hey, Nicholas, or hey, Jamil, how or what value do you think your skill sets can provide to so energy company, or so A, B, and C company? What you have to do is you give them the research you've done. I've done a bit of research about you, and I see that you're an energy company specializing in blah 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 blah, and I know that you need blah 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 blah, and this is the value, or this is the value that my skills can provide. I have even gone ahead to show you or to create a sample, blah blah blah. Then you present that sample dashboard or that sample project you've gotten or you've spent time prompting and gotten, right? And you kind of walk them through the project, because people remember a lot of what they see rather than what you tell them. Now, one thing, they're going to applaud you for taking the initiative, they're going to applaud you for doing research, they're going to applaud you for being intentional about the interview as a whole. So that has already given you a couple of plus marks or a couple of points on the board already, as opposed to every other person. There are a couple of things that I can't necessarily go in depth into as regards job interviews and kind of preparing for roles in data analytics, but because Jam, you kind of asked that question, I have to like focus on that and dive into it. The kind of job market we're in now, one thing you have to know is that jobs and job applications is a game of numbers. Once you have your technical skills, you've built your soft skills, you can communicate, you can problem solve, you can you're good at teamwork and all that. You have your technical skills for your analyst positions or your data engineer or data science position, Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, Python, whatever skills you're able to build, and you've built projects, you have a portfolio, right? One thing you must first start doing is, like I said earlier, it's a game of numbers. You must start applying in numbers. Now, there are a couple of intentional things you can do whilst applying in numbers, because a couple of persons, like Jamie said, they don't have issues getting interviews. They only have issues scaling those interviews. Now, if for example you're applying to, my own average would probably be applying to 10, 15, 20 companies every day, or 20 jobs every day, because that's the craziness of the market. At the end of a month, you've applied to like 600. Out of that 600, you're going to get a call, but at least 10 would respond in that month. So what you're going to focus on is not just applying to those companies. Once you apply to those jobs, search for those companies, like I also said previously, on LinkedIn as well. Once you search for them, look for their hiring manager or their HR or whatever they call them, right? Reach out to them, reach out to people within the company, start asking questions. Ask them, how do you, there are people who are in the position you're applying for, in the role you're applying for, or in the team or the department that you're applying to. So you start making your findings, start, how is the work environment, how is this, how do I position myself better. Not everyone would respond to you, but a couple of persons will be kind enough to give you some tips, like this, blah 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 blah. So like I said, that's how you kind of prepare, because it's, the market is crazy at this moment. The market is really, really crazy. So it's a game of numbers, and you must be intentional about the kind of things that you're doing, like I said earlier. So I don't know if there's any questions. I had to answer Jamie's question specifically. So Jamie, if that's, I think you can still go on, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Much appreciated.
All right.
I think we can start the class now. I guess.
All right. Is there still any questions as regards job application, positioning yourself for all of, like I said, maybe a couple of persons might still need to go back and watch the, like listen to the parts that we've already gone through. So it's just basically, like I said, job application is a game of numbers. The more you apply, the luckier you get. That is simple. A lot of jobs are going to be filled internally, a lot of jobs are fake jobs, a lot of jobs are scam jobs. But once you put volume to it, start applying to 20 jobs every day, like I said, at the end of the month you've gotten 600 applications. At least, even if you are the most unluckiest person, one out of that 600 will reach out to you if you have a solid CV. That's another thing that people don't talk about. Your CV has to be solid. You have to have a very standard CV. You don't need pictures. You don't need all of those things in your CV. Go and look for how to get a up to date CV template, and kind of restructure your CV, frame your previous experience to align with the position that you are currently applying to. Now, once you do that, once they see that your CV is actually suitable for their position, I had something I did in Claude, is an AI tool, right? What it helps you to do is that, let's say you're in a season where you're applying to jobs. I don't know why I'm coming back to this jobs or everything. Let's say you're in a season where you're applying to jobs. There's something called projects in Claude. I don't know if I can show it here. Just give me a minute. Let me see if I can show it. There's something called project. So Claude is an AI tool. Claude is like your chat GPT, is like your, what are the other AI tools that you use. So let me see if I can project something here. I think this would help a couple of persons. Yeah. Now, if you can see my screen, if you can see my screen. Now, this is a free cloud environment. It's not paid, it's not premium. You can see the upgrade. You can see it's telling me you use 90% of your session limit. So I'm going to show you how to apply to multiple jobs at a time, or how to make your job application easy. We're not supposed to talk about jobs today, but Jamie has driven us here. Now, and a couple of persons still joined in late. So now, once you're in this Claude environment, all you have to do is just go to Claude.ai. It will ask you to log in and all that. Now, what you need to do is just click on this plus icon here. You're going to see add files or photos, take screenshots, add projects. Now, if you see this add to projects, you will see something here click called start a new project. Now, you can click on start a new project, but I've already built what I'm already telling you about now. So you see this resume and cover letter. I don't know if you guys can see. If you can see it, somebody should just respond and let me know that you can see what I'm showing you.
Yeah, we can.
All
Yes, we
right, all
can.
right. So you see this resume and cover letter is one of the projects that I built for job applications. Now, if I click on this resume and cover letter, it will load the project for me. So I'm going to show you. You see that it has loaded this. It means that I am building a resume and a cover letter stuff. So if I click on this now, let me just show you how to build yours. Go to project, click on start a new project. Now it will ask you what is the name of your project. Now this is not limited alone to jobs. You can use it in your, even when you get the job, it can help you do a lot of things in your job. But let's call this resume generator or something like that. Resume generator. Start a new project. Let's say resume generator. What am I typing? Resume generator. And you're going to describe your project. Now, this description is important. It's asking you what you're trying to achieve. What you're going to say here is, I will give you job descriptions and add my CV or resume to the files section, comma. You will modify my CV or resume, whichever one you want to use, to fit the job description pasted in the chat. Now you click on create project. Now you've created this project. Now there's a couple of ways you can still go and modify the project. So if I click on this tab here called project, it will show me a list of my project. Now I can click on resume generator. If I click on resume generator, you will see that I'm in my resume generator project. You can now add instructions. So you can add simple instructions like basically the same thing you added in your description. Take my resume and modify it to fit whatever job description is pasted in the chat. Let me just keep it that simple. Right now, once I'm done with that, I'll add my file. The file I want to add is my main resume. We all have that one main resume that covers all of your previous experience, everything you've done before. It's not so clean, but you have that resume. So you upload from device. Now let me look for something to add. Documents. I think I should have one here. So let me just use this one. Now, you see that I've added my own main resume. This is my resume that contains all my experiences. But this resume is probably tailored for, let's say, a business analyst job. And I see a job description. Let me share something else. Let me share another screen so that we're able to follow together. Let me go to my LinkedIn page and share and look for something. So please pardon the change. Okay, you guys can see the LinkedIn page already. So um okay, I go to jobs, for example. It doesn't have to be LinkedIn. It can be any job platform. It can be any platform you get jobs from. Indeed, LinkedIn, just Google, whatever, wherever you're getting your jobs from. And let's say I see this. Let me look for something within. Let me look for something that's more recent. So I see remote data analyst at Beautiful AI. This one was 28 minutes ago. Now, once this job loads, you would see the company and their job description. They'll basically tell you about the job. They'll tell you what they want you to deliver on that job, right? And what you're going to see job title remote data analyst at Beautiful.ai is seeking highly experienced data analysts to join their growing team. This is a remote full-time position offering the opportunity to play a key role. Now, about the role, be a model for excellence in data-driven decision, contribute to shaping data processes, blah blah blah. Your key skills: bachelor's degree in relevant field, computer science, blah blah blah. 3 years hands-on with modern data stack, DBT, Snowflake, Mod, Stitch, proficiency in SQL, extensive experience analyzing and interpreting software as a service metrics, experience working with Stripe data model, experience in GTM analytics, familiarity with product led, blah blah blah. Now, let's say this is a role that interests me and this is something I feel I'm qualified for. My resume will not be tailored to this job. It will just be my resume I use for my general application. So in order to make it, there's what they call ATS, applicant tracking service, to make it more compliant, to make it selected, to be able to pass through the filter. What I can do is I'll just copy this JD, copy this about the job, Control C, and I'll go to my Claude. Remember, and I can just paste it here. Now, for this resume generator, remember I said I will give you job descriptions and you will, I've attached it here, and you will add my CV, blah blah blah. You modify my CV to fit the job description pasted in the chat. Now, in your own case, you might want to add, it should also give you a cover letter. It's your choice. It should also give you blah blah blah. Do it, whatever you want to add. But this one I'm just adding resume. Now I can just say modify my resume for this, for the row attached, or for the row attached, or whatever. Sometimes you don't even need to type this, but let me be a bit specific in the files for the row attached. Now if I click send, it's going to take a while. It will tell me blah blah blah, it's preparing resume or whatever whatever whatever. Reading uploaded resume. It will read my own main resume and it would build a new resume for me for this job. Now when I click on apply, instead of me using a resume that will not get me the job, that kind of thing, I am now using a resume that is tailored for this particular job. All the keywords that they want, everything they want for the job is inside my resume. So when that ATS applicant tracking service is going through all of the resumes that have been submitted, mine will pass because I have a lot of what they are looking for in my own resume. So rather than applying with the same resume for all your jobs, this is one way that you can fasten or hasten that step. All you have to do is take the job description, paste it here. It will give you a new resume. You apply. You see another one, you take it, paste it here. Now, this is just one step. You see that it's telling me that I've exhausted my free whatever. This is because I've been doing some other projects here today. So by when is this saying? By 3 p.m. today. I'm using a different time, but by 3 p.m. it's telling me that I'll be able to come back. But basically, that's how you're able to do it. Now, once you have done this, you go to the company that you applied for. The company we applied to here is Beautiful AI or something like that, if I can remember the name of the company. Beautiful AI or Bankable Wisdom, which of them is it? Now, I think this is the company. Yeah, so this is the person that is pushing the job, Bankable Wisdom. I think they are a hiring firm or people that source for employees for other companies, right? Bankable Wisdom is a workforce development agency. Now, if you go to people, This is what I was explaining earlier. If you go to people, you're going to see people who work here. So this is the founder, Precious, as one your founder and CEO at Bankable Wisdom. This is this one is providing some kind of service to them. This is a front end developer at Bankable Wisdom. Now let's say the role was for a front end developer or for a back end developer or for a full stack. This is also one of them, and this is a virtual assistant that works with them as well. I can just message this guy, or I can go to Solomon and connect with him, send him a message. Hi Solomon, I applied to this job, blah 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 at Bankable Wisdom, and I'd love to ask you a couple of questions. You list out your questions. I would appreciate if you help me, blah blah blah, and that is it. If this guy sees your message and he's someone who is kind of open to other persons, he would answer you, he will give you all the inside tips you want to know about the company. So when it's time for the interview, they are not asking you, what do you provide to us? And you're scratching your head. How will your skills help us? You already know about the company. You already know what they do. You already know the value you provide. Now, this is the one step. Now, the second step I was explaining earlier is that if you have, let's say you're giving an interview, you have an interview tomorrow. They'll probably give you maybe 24 hours or 48 hours max to prepare for the interview ahead of the email. You cannot go and start building a project for that company when they have given you that interview. That is also something that you can fast track with AI. You can go to this same Claude, just like I showed you. Remember, I built a project for generating resume or tailoring resume to jobs. I can build a project that would help me build a portfolio or build a dashboard or build something related to a particular company. The same way, I can just say, oh, let's say, let me look for a company on LinkedIn, and let's say we're looking at, let's just go with Dangote or something like that. And let's say I have an interview with Dangote Petroleums or whatever, whatever. I can just say, oh, let me create something. You can just say, I want you to create, number one, a sample or sample data for this role for this company, a sales to build a sales dashboard for Dangote group of blah blah blah, and build a dashboard with that data, and whatever it is you feel like your role would require you to do, you build that project or build that portfolio in a couple of hours. After a few prompting and correcting, you have to review obviously. You will have an interactive project ahead of your interview the next day. So when it falls back to, oh, what can you offer us as a business or as a company, you already have something at hand, and you're already telling them, I built, oh, thank you for the opportunity to work with blah 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 blah. I am a blah 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 with blah 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 years of experience. I've done a bit of research into your company, and I see that you're focused on blah blah blah, and you want to scale operations, or you want to scale sales, or you want to scale marketing, or you want to improve this and that in these areas. And I have built a sample or a sample dashboard to show you how my skills will transfer or translate to providing your business with whatever value you provide to their business. Now, when you're presenting that dashboard, you already know that number one, this guy knows what he's doing. You don't need to talk too much because they can now see, oh, this dashboard looks really good. This dashboard is something we already do here. Number two, they already know that this guy is somebody that takes initiative. He doesn't wait for somebody to come and say, do this before he does. You already prepared ahead of time. Now, that dashboard is something that will probably take you 1 week to do normally. But with AI integration, you already have something that can give you a baseline to start from and say, oh, remember I said you have to review it. Because if you do rubbish, a lot of persons will scrutinize you and still ask you questions. So foundationally, you still need to have your technical skills and know what you are doing first. So that is basically the crux of the whole matter: how to fast track, prepare, apply for jobs, and make sure that you're kind of getting responses, positive responses. People think job market is a thing of numbers. Like I said, 20 applications daily is something that you can do in an hour with all the processes I've shown you now. You don't have to start doing your resume from scratch every time. Just give it to this, it will give you, give it to this, it will give. In an hour, you've applied for 20 roles. Tomorrow, you do the same thing. At the end of the month, you've applied for 600 roles. No matter how unlucky you are, one person will reach out to you and say, "Oh, you have skills that we need. Come for interview." The same process I showed you. You're preparing for the interview. You research the company. You reach out to people within the company. You give it to this guy and say, "Build this for me, so that I'll use for an interview." And it does it. It uses the company colors, the company brand style. And once it's done with all that, you have something. When you're presenting your interview, you're not starting at the same level as everybody who they're asking, "What do you bring to us?" And they say, "I don't know, I don't know." You already have something that the company likes. And most times when people see something, they don't need you to explain too much. They already know that, oh, this guy is valuable. So we've kind of digressed from what we're actually meant to discuss today, but I feel like it's still a very great value for people. So if you're someone who is trying to apply to jobs in whatever field, it was specifically tailored to data analyst. But first, you have to build your technical skills, build your soft skills, build your technical skills, problem solving, communication. After you have built technical skills, or while building technical skills, make sure that you're not just somebody who knows how to use Excel, that you can explain a company's solution after you have built it. Don't just build and say, "I've built a solution," and you cannot tell the person that you built solution for how to use it, or how it changes their business, or how it improves their business. So while learning technical, learn the softs, learn to talk, learn to build, learn to explain, learn to problem solve, learn to think ahead, learn to communicate. All of those things go hand in hand. So I feel like with a couple of these things I've shown you guys, it will make all of those kind of processes kind of easier for you. So time is not enough for a couple of the things we want to discuss. It's already late. So I'll just open the floor now. If there is any question, technical skills, non-technical skills, other things that are not related to this that you want to ask, the floor will be open. So if there's anything you need to know, the floor is open now. You can ask your question. Okay.
So I think when you are explaining towards the training, I think I'm looking for the knowledge. So my question is that this is the website that this copy and cloud thing.
Yes, Claude is an AI tool, it's a website. Just go to claude.ai. It will ask you to create an account. You can create your account, and even for the
Okay,
free
okay.
things, you can still get a little value while using it for free. So it's just go to that this website you're seeing, claude.ai.
Oh yes, yes. Okay, okay. This website is really seeking a job, right? What is the other thing again?
You can do a whole lot. So you can do it. People build websites here. People, there's a lot, not just data. A lot of things can be done here. So this is just for this use case, for this scenario. You can do a lot more here.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So any other question? Any other question? Any other
Yeah,
question?
I have a personal
All
question, but I
right.
think that will probably be after the class
Okay, okay, all
because
right.
yeah.
All right. Any other question before we call it a day? Any other question? Any other question? All right. So in the absence of any other questions, thank you so much for attending. We'll be dropping some information on the group over the course of the week. There will be an Excel technical training that's coming up in July. So that one is just for 1 month. You will learn everything you need to know about Excel, build projects, and basically how to use Excel in a real work environment. You're gonna like do projects that people actually do. I think I had one here which was something we're supposed to cover today, but because of our time, we're not going to be able to touch on that. Let's say you own a pharmacy with 40 employees and you need to schedule that work shift to make sure that you have enough staff for each period or each hour of the day. So these are real world questions. And that was something I would have shown today, but because of time, we're not able to do that. So if you're interested in that Excel masterclass, it's not free. It's for 1 month, twice every week for 1 month. You're gonna have 8 classes from you're gonna learn Excel from scratch, the interface, the tools, blah blah blah. You're gonna build projects, you're gonna learn functions, you're gonna learn formulas, you're gonna learn how to use solver, you're gonna learn how to use pivot tables, how to visualize, and you're gonna build at least one project in that 1 month. So if you're interested, just send a DM on the WhatsApp group and we'll get you started on that. And in the absence of any other thing, if there's still another question, you can ask on the group. If you don't want to ask on the group, you can either message the admin's number or my own number on the WhatsApp group. So, whichever one you want to reach out to, you're free to do so. So, in the absence of any other question, thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.
Thank you so much. Thank you.